Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and today we are making photo puzzles. And if you look here, you can see the one that I've created. This one is going to be for my niece's youngest daughter, Quincy. But I'm going to make one for the older daughter, Addison, as well, because they're quick and they're easy. What I've done is I've just embellished the outside and put her initial. And then inside, notice when I pull, I have Quincy showing one emotion. And when I fold and pull in the middle, I have the other extreme. So it's so cool. You see from one extreme to the other, at her most sweet and her most silly. So it's really a fun and easy thing to do, and I made the dimensions so that it will accommodate a normal 4x6 photo. So you want to start by making photocopies or just an extra copy. I've done these with actual photo prints, as long as I'm not using my original. I save my originals, but I'll make a photo print on photo paper or on copy paper, which is what I did today. But first, before you can attach it, we have to make this puzzling element, which is surprisingly easy. I mentioned I'm going to be making one for Addison. So here you can see just using different colors, and inside I've picked the photos, but I haven't, and I've made the color copies, but I haven't even gotten to the stage where I'm going to place hers inside, but I'm going to. In order to create the background, you want to start with paper, and I'm using, I think this is construction paper, or you can use scrapbook paper because it's 12 inches long by 6 inches wide. And you want to first come in and you want to score at 4 inches. So you're dividing the 12-inch into thirds. So come in 4 inches and score, and then another 4 inches from this end and score. And when you fold on those two score lines, let me fold them. And then I'll come in from this end and fold this way. These are valley folds. So I have the first two folds. Now what I'm going to do is make a mountain fold, but fold the whole sheet of paper in half. I don't even bother to score this one because it's so easy when I'm just folding it in half. So all I'm going to do is do a mountain fold now, as opposed to those first two valley folds. This gives you the folds, all the folds that you need. I've marked already the inside. What you want to do is you want to take just this inside section, this 4-inch section right in the middle, and you want to divide it into 2-inch increments, and we're going to cut those. So I've come in with 2 inches and marked it with pencil, and then another 2 inches and marked it. And I'm going to you can put it, I had a trimmer here because I was going to show you with the trimmer, but it's easy because you can fold it first. So this is just as easy really to do with scissors. I'm using my pencil line as my guide, but quite honestly, when I start making a bunch of these, I usually don't even bother to mark it. I just throw it right on the paper trimmer, and every 2 inches cut, and I'm only going to that fold line. So when you open it up, what you have is everything that you're going to need. But now we need the little strips that are going to weave inside. So let me bring, well, and here's another one. So I'm going to bring in, and I use a different color. It's going to make it much easier to put together. So pick a complementary color, and once you have the photos in there, the second color will not show. So it's weaving. So what you want to do is, if I'm going to start by weaving, I have to go over and then under and then over, or I could do the other way, but the other strip then needs to be the opposite. So I started with over, so this one I need to start under and come up and then do over in the middle and then do under. These strips, they started as 2 inches, but in order to make them slide in and out, I took off just the slightest little, maybe 32nd of an inch. So they were 2-inch by 6-inch strips that are just a little smidge off of the 2-inch increments. So you end up with this, and at this point it works. It now works as a puzzle that can be in these two positions over and over again, but you need to attach the photos. So you leave these in. These won't actually come out, they'll just stay. You pick your two photos, and you can see that I have Quincy and her two extremes, and if I turn them over, you can see that what I've done is I've just marked the middle. I folded it in half is what I did, so it gave me the middle section, and then I came in 2 inches and marked it, and another 2 inches and marked it. So I'm dividing it into these 6 sections, and then I'm going to cut it out. Now I could throw it onto the paper trimmer, but it's also, because it's not very much to cut, it's probably just as quick to also just cut it with scissors. So if you don't have a paper trimmer handy, the scissors, you can always old school it and just use your scissors. So I'm going to cut it, and I find it easiest to kind of keep my layers together. Otherwise you need to put it back together like a puzzle. So this is going to be the bottom. This is going to be the middle. And this is going to be the top of one side. And then to continue, once again, this is the bottom. This is the middle. And here is the top. So you've cut your photo into the pieces, and then it's just a question of attaching them. Now, you know that I always tell you use more adhesive. You know, just for time, I'm not going to bother to put solid adhesive. But what you're going to want to do is put adhesive on each one, and I'll try to use tweezers so my fingers are sort of out of the way. And the color differentiation helps you see where you need to be sure that your photo starts and stops. You don't want to overlap onto the next color, because then it won't separate when you try to fold it into the other position. So to make it fast, I'm not going to do solid adhesive. And you can see, you know, when you're lining it up to make it match. Just making sure that I'm not overlapping into this next color. And then take the final section and add adhesive. And line this up. And once again, just attach it so that it aligns with the folds. And if it goes off the ends, you can always go back and trim that up. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Fasten the final section of the photo. And if your measurements aren't perfect and it turns out that there's a little bit sticking out, mine seems to be okay, but you can always trim off the ends. So notice how now, when I look at this, it makes a full photo, but I can turn it so that I'm going to have the middle section showing. Now I would just take the other extreme pose of Quincy, and using the same pencil guides, I would cut it apart and reapply each section of the photo just like we did with the other side. I'll bring up the one that's finished so you can see in one position you have her silly self, and in the next position you have her really sweet self. Now that's how you create the mechanism in the inside section. To look at the cover really goes together also very quickly and easily. So if you take your card, I've just added a band of a bright color of paper, and then a narrow band. The top one is, you know, patterned, and then that second color that I used on the inside, I sort of liked it together. I would add a heart. If this one is just plain red, but you can really zhuzh it up, or you can use pattern paper like I did here. And I didn't realize that I forgot to cut another Q out of white. So of course using this one red on red is not going to work. But if we go back to looking at this one, you can see how it's going to look when it's all put together. And of course this is going to reflect the personality of the people that you're making it for. So you can make it as elaborate or simple, as bold, as pastel. The beauty of making it yourself is you get to decide. You know, I think both kids and adults are going to love making and receiving these unique photo puzzles.